And exclusive sources tell ET Now that the government is preparing to widen the scope of its electronics component manufacturing scheme, with more components likely to be brought under the incentive framework. In fact, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, or meity, held discussions with industry players including Kaynes, Syrma and Samsung last week to identify additional modules and components that could well be included. Sumita, as always, gets us more details on this development.
That's right. In fact, exclusive sources have told ET Now that there could be a possibility of the government likely looking to expand the scope of the electronics components manufacturing scheme, and this is essentially aimed at covering more components under the scheme. And in fact, in this regard, we're given to understand from sources that the IT ministry and representatives from the IT ministry had discussions with the industry a couple of days back, and industry players included representation from Kaynes, and Syrma, amongst other companies. And in fact, they held discussions with government. These discussions focused on identifying additional modules and components that could be added to the scheme. So in terms of the components that were discussed, well, battery management systems, PCB drill bits, CCTV enclosures and materials could be some of the components that, of course, were part of the discussions that the industry is seeking to get included. In fact, the industry is also seeking a longer gestation period for PCBs, citing extended production cycles. In fact, what sources have also told us that the scheme could be reopened to invite fresh applications for these additional components. And with regard to that, the government may issue an addendum to expand the scope of the scheme. Remember, in July 2026, an addendum for optical transceivers was notified. Now, as far as the ECMS is concerned, or the electronics components manufacturing scheme is concerned, well, it was notified in April 2025 with the 22,919 crores of financial outlay, which was later expanded to 40,000 crores in the union budget to accommodate the massive industry response. In fact, there is room to accommodate more companies and bring in additional components under the scheme, under the expanded scope of the budget. As of now, at least 106 applications covering 30 products across 15 states have been approved.
Well, with that, we're slipping into a very short break, but don't go anywhere because News Now will be back on the other side in just a bit. So keep staying tuned to ET Now.